Welcome to the Hollywood Raw Podcast, Raw Rundown. My name is Adam Glyn. On the East Coast, on the West Coast is Dax Holt. This is the Raw Rundown where we give you the top 10 stories of the week. How do we pick the top 10 stories? It goes by Google search, it goes by data, and lastly, it goes by our personal opinions, but ultimately it comes down to the data. This week, I'm the first one to tell you, Dax always gets pissed off. It wasn't a good week in entertainment news. In my opinion, Oscar week is just, it takes over the news cycle for that week. Everyone's in LA, everyone's doing the same thing. There's all talks about the Oscars, and it just, there's people just focus on Oscars. Like, if you want to drop a celebrity news story on a Monday, the day after the Oscars, is maybe like one of the worst PR things ever to do, because every single writer is just working on Oscar stories. What happened at the after party? What did this celebrity say when they lost the award? So, we talked about the Oscars a little bit this past week. On our Wednesday episode, we kind of recapped it because Dax and I did a live stream. Are you like rushing to go see Anora right now, Dax, or are you like waiting? It's not on any. It's not on a streamer.
I'm not rushing to see it at all. I mean, I want to see it, but I am not rushing to see it. We're back on the back half of, I think it's like season 7 of Outlander. So maybe then I will. Once we get through Outlander, then maybe I'll watch it.
I looked it up. As soon as the movie won Best Picture, I was like, okay, I got to see this movie. But you could rent it on Amazon for like $7, and I'm not making that type of money yet. So I'll wait. I'll wait very patiently to see what streamer it goes to. Remember how long it used to take from a movie to go from theaters to VHS or DVD? Like, you had to wait 3 months.
I feel like I'm still constantly surprised by it. Like, I'll go on my TV and on Amazon Prime, I'm like, this video just came out. How is it already on my television? Like, how can I already have access to it? Granted, it's like $20 to rent the movie on Amazon Prime when it's brand new, but nevertheless, every time I'm still surprised how quick it is.
Yeah, I don't rent movies on streamers. I don't think I've ever rented a movie on my cable, but you used to be like double anticipation, excitement. You were excited for when the movie would come out to theaters. You'd see the trailer about three months in advance, going to see another movie. The excitement and anticipation, the movie would finally come out. Then the movie would not get out of theaters, and then you'd get excited when that movie would be released on DVD or VHS.
I was going to say, and then you would run to Blockbuster and be like, oh, damn, I flipped the back of all of the cases, and there's no actual video behind the case, and now I got to wait for somebody. Can you check the return box to see if anyone's returned the movie? I'm really excited to see it. Do you remember all that shit?
I do. I actually am curious looking back. I mean, there were simpler times, but how many people were stealing movies from Blockbuster? How often that was happening? And Dax, you look like one of those guys who would never rewind the movie. You would just watch it and just piss them off. You seem like one of those guys. All right. Before we get to the top 10 stories of the week, we read reviews. How do you give us a review? Let's start like this. Go to the app for podcasts. Put in Hollywood Raw. And you'll see us or see our pretty faces. We took an overpriced photo, and then go all the way to the bottom, and then you'll see you say a few kind words, give us a 5 stars, and we'll read your review live on the air. It's our way of saying thank you. Thank you for taking the time to give us a review, because when you give us a review, it helps us out with the algorithm. I don't know why. This is what they tell us, but we'd appreciate that. And if you already did it, take a partner, take your friend's phone, do it for them. And make it fun, make it funny, make it silly. Just do it. All right, Dax, do you have a review ready for us?
Can I get something off my chest right now, Adam?
You can.
I'm a little pissed off at a review from this morning.
Okay, what happened?
I went to look to see what reviews I was going to read today, and there was one on there that just, I don't know, rubbed me the wrong way today. And normally I don't read bad reviews, but I'm a little annoyed with this one that I feel like I'm going to read it. And someone gave us 2 stars. And they said that they said you interviewed a Trump supporter, and they said ridiculous to interview the idiot who heckled Alec Baldwin in the street. Get it together and choose wisely for your guests. That was an ignorant choice. And why it makes me mad is I was like, this was one of the biggest news stories of the week. We went out, got the guy on to talk to him, and just hear the story. And for someone, and like, what makes me mad is that when we get a negative review based on a guest, that's what pisses me off. Because I'm like, we work so hard on this podcast, and then to go out of your way to leave one bad review based on one guest, I don't feel like is fair. That's not a review of the podcast as a whole. That is a review of one person that you didn't like, who granted was one of the biggest news stories of the week. So I'm pissed off.
Huge. Well, read the review, then let's explain it. So if anybody's listening, last week on a Raw Rundown, we had someone on the Raw Rundown talking about their story, which was one of the biggest stories of the week. It was the Trump impersonator that confronted Alec Baldwin, and it was a huge news story. We didn't take his side by any means. In fact, we kind of said it to his person. It wasn't our cup of tea as far as humor goes.
I feel like I even told him, I said, look, I think that you crossed the line with Alec and talking about like the debt or bringing up Helena Hutchinson. He agreed. He said I did go too far. So to like go out of your way to leave a shitty review for us, like really just kind of pisses me off.
I agree. And our first line, which I said, the first line I said to him was like, somehow you made Alec Baldwin likable. With that said, I wasn't bringing him on the podcast to yell at him. I just wanted to hear his perspective and her side and what it's like being a viral guy. So that review actually does hurt us. So please, guys, help us out. Give us a good review to kind of
all right, can I read a good one so that I can not be as mad right now?
Yes, you can.
And I don't know why I let reviews get under my skin, but sometimes they make me mad. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, this one is called Great Podcast from Lincoln Bridget. It's 5 stars. It says, new review, February 2025. Still love you guys. Your jobs are to share your insights and opinions about the things you talk about, and it's sad to me that you could cause poor reviews just because of, oh, that's hilarious. I didn't plan to read this one, but it came in. That it could cause poor reviews just because of it. It seems like a lot of people have lost the ability to see other points of view. You don't just have to agree, but be part of the informed, and the world is to take all in the information, not just what suits your point of view. Done with the rant. Keep doing what you guys do. I legit did not plan on reading this review after the shitty review. Thank you, Lincoln Bridget. I actually really needed this review in my life right now, and I didn't know I needed it so bad, but thank you.
Yes, thank you. We needed that right time. Good timing for that. Again, keep the reviews coming. Obviously, we got one negative review for a guest of all things. So if you can appreciate, give us 5, 10, 15 more reviews to water down that negative review. All right, on to the Raw Rundown, the top 10 stories of the week, starting with number 10.
All right, number 10 is a sad one, but Dolly Parton lost her husband, Carl Dean. He was 82. This was a big story. They have been married for so long. And so this was her like life partner. They met way back in the day, met back in like 1966. No, I'm sorry, 1964 is when they met. They got married back in 1966. And she had always said that it was like love at first sight with Carl. I remember there being a diagnosis of Alzheimer's disease back in 2019. But they were very happily married. They stayed out of the spotlight. Like you really didn't see much of the two of them in public. And it just seemed to work for them. You know, like Dolly Parton is probably one of the most beloved people in Hollywood, in music. And she always would talk about her husband. She wrote songs for him. And so really sad, I guess, From Here to the Moon and Back was for Carl. And they actually renewed their vows back in 2016 on their 50th anniversary. And so I don't know, the story made me sad for her, sad for the family, everyone, but I wanted to make sure that it made the rundown because, you know, they would have celebrated their 59th wedding anniversary this upcoming May 30th. So
wow, long time.
But, I mean, and the thing is, he met her literally as she was starting her career. They met in a laundromat, and it then just were together for the rest of their lives. Isn't that kind of cool?
Pretty cool. Yeah, they've been together for a long time. You don't see those type of relationships too often. I guess they got married in 1966. Yeah, she's a legend. She's 7. How old was he? She's 79. Does it say how old?
He was 82.
Okay. I mean,
yeah, she put up a nice message on, I think it was Instagram, that said, Carl and I spent many wonderful years together. Words can't do justice to the love that we shared for over 60 years. Thank you for your prayers and sympathy.
I'd be curious what someone like her, Dolly, does to look so good at her age. You know, like, is it surgical and not in a judgmental by any means? I just want to know the secret, what she does, diet, exercise.
I think she's been honest that she's had obviously work over the years, but
it's so amazing how some people, I don't know if it's their skin, how they look great if they just get really good surgeons and other people don't, or if it's just the way their body adjusts to the procedure. I don't know, but it's she looks
I think
great.
it's going to be. I think it's a good surgeon that you go to makes a big difference in whether or not you look realistic at the end of it.
I actually went maybe about 2 months ago. Sometimes I'm a big eBay guy. I try to find
Okay.
random things on eBay, and I tried to find vintage Dollywood shirts. I thought it'd be really
So
cool to have
random.
like vintage, old school Dollywood shirts. I
Yeah.
don't know. I that would be like a cool place to visit Dollywood. I don't know. I think it's something unique and weird. And I've been to a lot of places. I've not been to Nashville.
I've
Have you
never
been to
been to
Nashville?
Dollywood. I've never been to Nashville either. No.
I've never been to Nashville. I'm waiting for like the Super Bowl to go there, which I'm not going to be excited when Super Bowl goes there because it's probably going to be kind of cold. But I've not been. I just don't have a reason to go there. It's one of the only few
Well,
cities.
I'm assuming I will be going soon enough. My dad just moved to Tennessee, so I'm assuming I'll be visiting him at some point out there. Get to check it out.
Very cool. Dax, number 9.
Number 9. This story is crazy. 2 people have now been charged with a huge ticket scam that involves Taylor Swift, where they allegedly stole a bunch of StubHub tickets and then netted $600,000 for themselves after exploiting this whole thing. So 2 people have been arrested, and it all goes back to stealing 900 tickets. Majority of them were for the Taylor Swift Eras tour, and they resold them online to make over $600,000 in profit. This is all according to the authorities. These are 2 people out of Queens, New York. And what they did is they apparently used the popularity of Taylor's concert and then other high-profile events and then scammed all these people out. So what they would do was they would go in this like back way into StubHub, and what StubHub would do is essentially once someone buys a ticket, it sends them a URL to go and accept the ticket. Well, these people would go in and basically intercept that URL, download the ticket out, and then re-upload it onto StubHub to sell it at a profit because they weren't paying anything for it, so it would resell it. And they did this with quite a few things. They obviously did it with Taylor Swift. They did it with some Adele concerts, some Ed Sheeran concert tickets, NBA games, US Open tennis championship tickets. And they made a ton of money, but it looks like authorities did catch on to what exactly they were doing and have arrested them. So I don't know. I just thought this story was so crazy, and to think that there was probably a lot of Taylor Swift fans that spent money on this tour, never got to go because their ticket never arrived, and it probably caused quite a bit of chaos. Because to StubHub, they're like, "You bought the ticket, we sent it to you, you downloaded, so you're lying." You know what I'm thinking about that?
Yeah.
If they're going, well, sorry, but the ticket was downloaded, and they are not realizing that someone intercepted that ticket before it got downloaded. So I bet there was a lot of really sad Taylor Swift fans out there when this all happened.
Yeah, StubHub's a weird thing. I've gotten really lucky on StubHub. Do you have do you have like a little sneak of like getting tickets? I went like one time on StubHub, I got tickets front row for John Mayer for like $75 like an hour before the concert. So it's like you have to keep checking it. But my buddy, who's this private ticket concierge, says like there's so many like problems with StubHub that people don't realize. Yeah, like they're not very public about it, but there's a lot more issues than I think that people really know what happens with StubHub, because you are going, you're dealing with a middleman and going to a consumer and hope that everything works out. So there is some issues with that, but
I have never had problems with StubHub or some of the other ticket vendors. Granted, I'm not gonna lie, I get hooked up with a lot of tickets, so so I haven't really had to purchase tickets on there.
But if you go to Ticketmaster now, it's rare that you go to Ticketmaster and able to get tickets at like base price. It's always like reseller price for if you want to go to something. It's just very weird and sticky. It's like, well, how much does the ticket actually cost? So hard to find all that. Dax, number 8.
Gabby Windey from The Bachelorette got secretly married to Robbie Hoffman in Las Vegas a couple days ago. Actually, it was like, I think January 11th, so more than a couple days ago. But the 2 of them walked down the aisle at one of those little Vegas chapels and paid $799 to get married. I always think it's funny when people do these like little Vegas chapel weddings. But that $799 bought them a limousine, a minister, and some time inside the chapel. I'm not going to lie, Adam, I don't even know who these women are at all.
Dax, So Gabby Windey was on The
Yeah.
Bachelorette. She was the Bachelorette. She actually came back and hosted. She turned out, said she was a lesbian, went on Dance with the Stars, then she went on Traitors. Recently, somehow this girl has had some resurgence where people just love her on social media. They find her hysterical and really funny. And now
Mhm.
people are saying like she's the new it girl. Her career somehow is just starting
Really?
to blow up now, and she's very popular. People love her. But she was engaged. She was on she was the Bachelorette. She met a guy. He was this guy Eric, whatever, and then
Mhm.
she was on Traitors recently. Um, she was also on Dance with the Stars. There's some rumors that she was trying to hook up with maybe Vinny from Jersey Shore for a little bit. It said she had a little bit of a crush on him. Then it came big news. Hey, I'm a lesbian. She's been with this girl for a while, but as of recently, people think this girl is really funny. She's like charming and fun, and
I
they like her
honestly had
fashion.
no idea who this was. You sent me the story because obviously it's getting a lot of traction. I see why. I mean, if she's super popular out there, I just had no idea who the hell she was. I know that they walked down the aisle to Chapel Roan's Hot to Go. I mean, and they posted a bunch of photos from them getting ready and kissing, and she explained how she was proposed to. I guess it was like a crossword puzzle that said, "Will you marry me, Gabby?" So like cute stuff, but this is the first time I've ever reported or even heard these two names.
I respect the way they did it, quick, easy, and cheap, and affordable. And I
Mhm.
also think that Gabby, the way things are going lately, I think we're going to see a lot of her in 2025. My prediction: this is Gabby's year.
All right,
There's
well,
women resurgence. My prediction.
welcome to the Gabby world, Dax. I have now
Yes.
officially joined understanding who the hell this person is. So thank you.
Well, I had two predictions. Well, I had one prediction for 2025. One that Chris Brown was going to have a massive year in 2025. So far,
Mhm.
that prediction's been terrible. The other one is Gabby Windey going to have a huge year in 2025, and we'll see what happens. I'm making that prediction now, but I think this will be a big year for her. As far as Chris Brown goes, I think it's still early on in the year, and I also we'll see if he makes a major comeback. Dax, the number 7 story.
Alec Baldwin getting slammed by Helena Hutchinson's family. They're basically saying that Alec Baldwin never tried to contact them after Helena Hutchinson's death and after he fatally shot her on the set of that film Rust back in October of 2021. Gloria Allred is the lawyer to that family, and she basically said, "Look, although some of Helena's friends and coworkers contacted Helena's mother with their condolences after Helena lost her life on the set of Rust, the man who killed her never did." And I am kind of surprised to hear that. And maybe that was a legal move on his part where his lawyers said, like, don't reach out, don't accept culpability, don't do anything. I don't know. But it is kind of sad to think that he never reached out to the family because, it was an accident. He clearly didn't mean to fire that gun at the end of the day, that it was an accident. And so I feel like there could have been a moment where he did send even a handwritten note to the family just to say, "Hey, I obviously didn't mean for what went down to happen, but I'm sorry for the loss of, your loved one." So anyway, just kind of interesting reveal right there by Gloria Allred.
I wonder if Alec has to talk to the family via his lawyer or communicate through them, or does he reach out directly? I mean, it's such a sensitive way, but also you would think just in this circumstance,
Hmm.
it's almost like common sense, like to reach out in some sort of way, like to make some sort of heads up. I just
Some
think
remarks,
it's a
something
bonehead
just
decision. Yeah.
and again, I don't know if it was legally motivated not to contact them because it would be bad on his part for his legal woes. I don't know.
Yeah. Um, Dumb move. Dumb move. I don't know how the thought of that doesn't even cross your mind.
But
They're not even consider that.
Gloria Allred's on the other side of it being like, "Ooh, I can turn this into a news story. Oh, I can get some press on this." Can we finally say that Gloria Allred's the one interview we never aired?
Wait, did we have her? I forgot. Did we not air that?
We had Gloria Allred on, and I was excited for the interview. And yeah, this is a little known fact. I don't think we've ever said this, but so we had Gloria Allred on, and did this great interview, which I thought was a great interview, or at least we had great questions for it. And she didn't want to answer a damn thing. She lawyered her way out of every single question that we asked her, to the point where we didn't get anything out of the interview. And she has worked on some of the biggest cases in history. And it was like everything that we asked, it just like went around in circle that we got done. And we were like, we can't even air this episode because there was no information given out by Gloria Allred. Do you remember that?
I remember we had her on. I remember I was scared to talk to her, but I just thought we released that episode. I didn't even realize we never did that.
We never released it because that was the only episode we've ever not released.
Okay. I didn't know if there was any other episodes we didn't release.
No, there's some other ones that we probably shouldn't have released. Like the celebrity chef.
Oh God.
But that was the only one we truly left on the cutting room floor.
We do have a good episode coming out next week. I will give that out. It's a fun episode. Yeah. Something that we don't usually do a lot. I did it in person. Dax was away, but I went out to this person's studio and did an episode.
Why can't we say who it is?
I'd rather keep the anticipation. We should have made her do it. Well, I said to her. We should have made her do like a little bit of a teaser for us, but it's fine. I mean, it's just a good episode. I'd rather just kind of keep it very vague.
Okay. Keep it vague. Tune in next Wednesday for.
It's not like Hillary Clinton by any means, but it was a fun episode for us. Like someone who just like, honestly, it's a friend. Is she a friend, or are we just?
I think she's a friend. I mean, we both have her phone number in our phones for the last 10 years, so I would say friend. And this is the first time we've ever gotten her on because
she's crazy.
Of who she is. Yeah,
she's crazy, and I think she can admit she's crazy, but she's good. But we had a really good conversation with her. Very interesting, very unique. So we got a good episode coming out next week. All right, Dax, number 6.
Tyga dating someone who's got a lot of people talking. He has been dating Madeline Pistache. Is how you say her last name? How do you say her name?
Madeline
Pistache. I don't know. She was you would recognize her from Riverdale. She became really famous off of that Riverdale show.
Madeline Pesh.
Maybe. Okay. Yeah, maybe. Who knows? The two of them been dating, but what has a lot of people talking was that she had actually modeled for Skims pretty recently. And so the connection there, obviously Tyga dated Kylie Jenner for a very long time. It seemed like they were headed to potentially get married at some point, and then they ended up breaking it off like 8 years ago or something like that. And he has dated tons of people since then. He was obviously with Black China for a long time.
He was engaged to Black China. He was engaged to Black China for years. He was in a relationship with Avril Lavigne. He was in
Avril Lavigne made a lot of attention when
Iggy Azalea, Josie Canseco, Kylie Jenner, Emily Ratajkowski, Alabama Barker, Chanel Iman. This guy.
The list goes on and on and on. But so the two of them, him and Madeline, were spotted out at a Lakers game recently, and they've just kind of gone public with their relationship. But again, there's a bunch of photos of her in Skims underwear, and so everyone's like, wait, you're now dating someone who modeled for Kim, and they like that connection.
The guy he's been around. He's a coxman. I don't know how this guy brings in so many girls and what he does, but he's very good. And it's funny because Tyga's like a good artist. I didn't know he had that much money. Yeah. I saw him recently in New York at Chris Rock's birthday party. Now, I think he might have got invited just through he was with Cher, and I don't know how he got the invite, because to me, Tyga's not – there's nothing personal against him. He's just not the hugest name, but he's made good music. Nothing historic. It just, I don't know. This guy somehow puts himself in good circles and is very good with women. Not a big guy, not like the tallest of guys.
Do you wonder if some of these, though, are just press relationships? Like it's because they know with his connection to Kylie Jenner that every time he dates someone, it's going to make news. People are going to talk about it. Kind of like Pete Davidson. Every time he dates someone, it makes the headlines because people are fascinated with their love life. So how many of these relationships have just been, this is fun PR? Like the Avril and him, I wonder if that was just a PR relationship.
Because what does Avril have to gain from that? It's good for him.
Remember, Avril was not in the good graces of America at that point. I feel like when they started dating, she started to have this reemergence into, and I'm not saying it's because of him. I'm just saying because no one was talking about her. And then they started dating, people started talking, and then she started to like be out in public more and kind of like come back.
Yeah, she was kind of putting herself. She was going to Boa a little bit more during that time when she was dating him. She did have a little bit of resurgence. I guess she got out of a long relationship and now she's like, oh, I'm single and kind of playing the field. And again, she was going to Boa a little bit more. When you're in these PR relationships, is the part of that deal, contract, the setup, do you have to have sex with that partner? I don't know. Is it like,
no?
it's
These
just
PR ones are legit. Hey, meet me at the Grove. We're gonna walk around and hold hands. And by the way, my publicist has tipped off 7 paparazzi agencies that will be there. It is not. There's nothing sexual, I think, in most of these PR relationships.
I'll tell you what, Dex, I don't want to say the person's name, okay? Because I know them. If I see them, I don't have this person's phone number, but I've known this person for 15 years. I saw them maybe about 3 months ago. We ran into on the street and we had like a really brief conversation. But there's one person I know. They're a small time, if you want to call them celebrity.
Okay.
They're on TV a little bit. They've been very fortunate in that. Talented person, but not a huge name by any means. But they're very good at making themselves get in photos. And recently, very recently, they were in a photograph with a newly single star and made sure that it seemed like they knew what they were doing to put them in to get themselves in the photo, to get people talking like, hey, maybe something's going on there. And then months earlier, they were seen with someone else. And then there were rumors like somehow the storyline and the photos weren't romantic at all, but like, hey, they're together. Are they possibly dating? And I feel like this celebrity knows what they're doing. They're playing the game, getting the photos when they see the photographers, making that photograph moment to kind of get their name out there.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, that's
Blind,
what you
I
gotta
don't.
do.
Listen, they definitely know what they're doing. They put themselves in a lot of. This person puts themselves in a lot of very good situations, in very good circles, and I feel like this person knew there was cameras there, made themselves get in the photos, ran to the PR people and said, "Hey, we should kind of put some gas
Push
on
this.
this."
Yeah.
All right. Dax, number 5.
Jay-Z has now filed a defamation lawsuit against one of those former accusers that accused him and Diddy of raping her when she was 13 years old. So he's now filed the defamation lawsuit. He did it on Monday against that Alabama woman who claimed he raped her when she was 13. And has also, by the way, she has now since withdrawn that civil lawsuit against him. But he basically identified her as Jane Doe, because that's what she's been calling herself, and said that she timed her claim to, quote unquote, inflict maximum pain and suffering on Mr. Carter to extort payments from him. The lawsuit also named the woman's attorney, Tony Buzbee, who we brought up numerous times. He's representing a lot of people that are going against Diddy, and David Fortney, whom Jay-Z alleged were soullessly motivated by greed and abject disregard for the truth and the most fundamental precepts of human decency. Yikes. So the woman initially claimed that Jay-Z and Diddy had taken turns sexually assaulting her when she was 13 at that party following a 2000 MTV VMA Awards. Both men obviously denied those allegations, and then she withdrew her suit last month after Jay-Z raised a bunch of questions about the truth of it and against, obviously, the attorney. Well, Jay-Z has now put a private investigator on the whole situation, and what they are saying, and this is according to Jay-Z's PI, is that Jane Doe has now voluntarily admitted directly to representatives of Mr. Carter that the story brought before the world in court and on global television is just that, a false, malicious story. She has admitted to Mr. Carter that Mr. Carter did not assault her, and that indeed it was Mr. Buzbee himself. So they're saying that it was the lawyer who pushed this woman to basically make up a fake story, to go forward with a false narrative and being assaulted by Mr. Carter in order to leverage a maximum payday. Huge, 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 huge. And then I will say in response that Tony Buzbee, that lawyer, has now released a statement on his side saying Sean Carter's investigators have repeatedly harassed, threatened, and harangued, I don't know what that means, this poor woman for weeks, trying to intimidate her and make her a recent story. She hasn't and she won't. Instead, she has repeatedly stood by her claims The same group of investigators have been caught on tape offering to pay people to sue them and my firm. So they are sticking by the story. They are saying that her story has not changed, that what they are saying publicly is not true. We'll see. It is interesting that she pulled back that civil court case against him, and then all of this is coming out. So at this point, I don't know where the truth lies, but I'll tell you, Jay-Z is not backing down one bit, and that makes me think that he is very confident that he is innocent.
Are you surprised that this case is still going? For me, I'm just surprised that people are still talking about it, but at this point, is Jay-Z just trying to clear his name?
Jay-Z needs to clear his name in this whole situation. He's not in jail. Like, Diddy, the lawsuits are going to keep just piling up. He's in jail. He's not trying to save his career at this point. Jay-Z, on the other hand, needs to save his career. He's married to a superstar. They're still out in public doing all their stuff. I think that he is doing every effort he can to remove his name from this Diddy narrative.
I guess so. I guess it goes into timing. This has absolutely nothing to do with this story, Dax. Who is the celebrity that's the most cringeworthy for you on social media that you follow? Who's the one that you just random, like, oh my...
That was like a definite detour from our topics here.
Yeah. Who's is there someone that you follow, like, man, this celebrity is so cringe? I'll tell you mine.
Who is it?
Caitlin Bristow. Like, she does, like, it's so, like, to me, forced, and it's not funny, it's not fun, it's not genuine. I don't know. It's like she sets up the ring light to do this 1 4-second TikTok, and it's just like,
I know
some of Bachelor stars bother me. Who's yours?
I know who mine.
Mine's I'm gonna guess.
Oh, I already said it.
I was gonna say Bethany Frankel. Yours is Lori Grenier.
Lori Grenier, and obviously I've been on Shark Tank. I love Lori as a person, but I feel like her social media person puts her up to doing silly things that I'm like, why are you doing this right now? Why, and it's like, I don't know. They feel very scripted social media stuff that I just want to be, Lori, let me help you with your social media. Like, don't listen to whatever that person is saying, because this is not working for you.
Yeah. Let's not clip that, by the way, because I don't need their fans coming after us for hating on them. By the way, to our producers, do not clip this and make this into a thing, because I don't want to put a lot of heat on this and gas on this. And then all of a sudden I got into a fight with them. And then I got to get help from the publicist and then ban me from talking to the rest of their clients.
You and Caitlin in a full fist fight in the middle of the streets of New York.
She's been nice to me on the streets, I'm not going to lie. But I've been actually wanting to get her because I really want to ask her questions about her relationship with Zach Clark. But with that said, I on social media, she's like, I still follow her because it's cringe.
Sometimes that works too. I mean,
it does
I still follow Lori. I like her as a person. Doesn't mean I just feel like she could call me. I could help her out a little bit.
Dax, number 4.
Millie Bobby Brown, really pissed off this week. She's very frustrated with the way people are talking about her online. She feels like a lot of the comments are really hateful about her appearance. There was a lot of talk after she was out over the last couple weeks doing media, saying that she looks really old. And I remember seeing one post that said she looks like a divorced middle-aged mom out on the town for an evening. And so she got online and she was like, look, I grew up in front of the world, and for some reason people can't seem to grow with me. Instead, they act like I'm supposed to be this stay frozen in time, that I should still look the way I did on Stranger Things season 1. And because I don't, now I'm a target. And then she's like, I'm tired of like having to deal with this like constant barrage of negativity online. And, unfortunately, this does kind of come with the territory when you're famous. But I think this is the pressure on someone who grows up in front of the camera really sucks, especially a woman who grows up in front of the camera, because you are scrutinized every moment and people watch you go through puberty. People watch you become a woman, and that can't be easy. So I don't blame her for being over this like negativity that keeps hitting her.
Yeah, I it's sort of sad. And I think me and you are probably guilty of it. I'm sure I probably said something based on people's looks. And it was a good perspective. I'm all about perspectives. I'm sure I'm guilty of talking about someone's looks. It's just what we do as podcasters.
You're sure? No, I can say 100%. We've judged a lot of people on looks or said something about them. I mean, it's what happens in this industry.
Yeah, it doesn't make it right.
Not saying it's a good thing. I'm just saying that's the truth of it, is that we can't hide away from some of the shit we've said.
And listen, a lot of times what we say privately, we forget that we're saying it publicly, especially being on a podcast. So we're definitely guilty of it. Are we going to apologize? Yeah, we didn't talk bad about her because we didn't get. Well, I'm sure
we didn't talk bad about her.
We did not talk about her. But again, I do feel for her in this situation. She is someone who is just growing up with, within the public eye. We saw her when she was on as one of the older Stranger Things stars, and now she's 21 years old. So she's just getting older, and even when you see the style, yeah.
With her, what I think a lot of it is too, it's just makeup. She wears the same like makeup as someone who is older in life. And I don't know how else to explain it. She's not doing makeup like the Kardashians. She's doing makeup like a housewife. Does that make sense? And I don't know how else to, she doesn't look like, and she's aged beautifully. That's not that. It's like she does like the really dark lips. She does like the dark eyes. And then she has like the bleach blonde hair. And I think that look tends to be done on older women in Hollywood. And I think that's what people are seeing. Not that she hasn't aged well or anything. Her makeup choices lean towards an older style, I would say.
If anybody doesn't know this, Dax is a manager of a Sephora in Anaheim. So he knows all about makeup tips. If you want to learn more about makeup, go to Dax at the Sephora from 2 to 4 p.m. during that shift. I don't disagree with you. She looks great. Like she looks good. She looks beautiful, and honestly, she's so talented too. And it's sad that I think people forget that, hey, she's 21 years old. She is a person, and we are talking about her. There was one journalist who did actually apologize for it and kind of stuck up and he was like, no, you're right. You're 100% correct, and admitted to him being wrong. And I appreciate her speaking up because a lot of people don't. And she's just growing up in the public eye. And it's interesting for her as a girl that we saw when she was 14 years old, 15 years old. And now she's wearing outfits that maybe show a little bit of cleavage. So you feel a little bit uncomfortable because, you still see her as that kid, but it's just, she's 21 years old. She's an adult now. So cool. All right. Number 3.
Yes. Cool. Jax Taylor's ex, Brittany Cartwright, is talking up about the fact that Jax has admitted that he had a lot of cocaine in his life. And she is now kind of saying, finally, I get to talk about this because he's been hiding his drug abuse for years now. But he finally admitted it on Bravo's Hot Mic podcast. He revealed that he had been in the thralls of substance issues, primarily with cocaine over the past 2 decades. And this was a big deal for him because we obviously saw him struggling. We knew he had gone to rehab numerous times, and his marriage fell apart. His family life was in shambles. And he said, look, I did a lot of cocaine. I did a lot of drugs, and I couldn't stop. And now he said, for the first time, I am 83 days sober as of that recording. So Brittany actually put out a statement to People magazine saying that she is, quote unquote, skeptical about his ability to turn his life around. She said, I'm glad that he is finally admitting to what was really going on. For the first time, I can speak openly about the extent of trauma he's instilled on our family over the years. I've tried desperately to help him without success. And I pray that one day he completely knocks this addiction, but I am skeptical. His behaviors are still alarming, and his treatment plan seems to be bare minimum. I'm trying to navigate this as best I can for my son and I, but every day I still challenge. It's still a challenge and very difficult. Jax has caused an enormous amount of damage, and I have very little trust in him at this point. My only hope is that one day he will be a better person for his son. Damn! She did not hold back.
Woo! Yeah. I mean, listen, was it any surprise? Like when you think of cocaine,
I don't blame her. Like, you're living with a cocaine addict. it cannot be easy in the public eye with a child. Everything's televised. I can only imagine the things that she's gone through, and props to her for keeping it to herself until he was ready to share it with the world.
Correct.
Because
Yes, huge.
that could have been something she aired out a long time ago, and she didn't, and she probably did it for his benefit, even knowing how much shit he's put her through.
I 1000% agree. I think it's I think you got to give props to someone like Brittany, who was his partner, but let him tell his story rather than her, because I don't think that's good for any person that's having a problem, especially in the public eye. Yeah, Jackson finally admitted he has a problem. Well, he had a problem. He sounds like he's on a good path. I don't think he's the only one out in LA, especially in that world that does it.
No kidding.
I wonder how much of Hollywood, I'm saying celebrity wise, is still doing cocaine. So, I don't know if we can't even say cocaine on TikTok or anything like that. Let me rephrase that for a social media part in case we clip this. I'm curious how many people in Hollywood are still doing nose powder as a way of getting high. Just because obviously with everything we know about what's the fentanyl and everything going on, and it is scary. I just don't know if it's still a problem or people are doing what all the broadcasters do, which is Adderall.
I feel like I am so out of touch with that side of it. I remember going to a party once, not even knowing that people were doing coke, and then I walked into the bathroom and people that I know really well were like literally doing coke lines off the sinks, and I'm like, really? Like, this is a thing right now? I am just so it's not been my world, not been my thing, and I think I'm surprised, and so I think I'm just sheltered from like that Hollywood understanding what's really going on out there drug wise.
Makes sense. Yeah, I wonder. I don't know. I just think like right now, if you go to the Gaio Siri after party after the Oscars, are people sitting there running to the bathroom to do it, or are people just taking? I don't know what people do. Hope Jackson's doing well. It seems like he's on the good path, and hopefully he's being good to his kids. Yeah, he finally felt why he picked that show to pick the. You think you were going to make an announcement like that, you'd go somewhere else to do it. I don't. Where would you go? Maybe go watch what happens and talk about it. I don't know. I always feel weird when it's unique where they pick to make a decision like that.
Yeah,
statement like that. Dax, the number 2 story.
Obviously, Gene Hackman's mysterious death is still being investigated. And now authorities are really kind of honing in on what could potentially have been the issue. Oh, did you hear the new theory, actually,
What's the new,
Adam?
Every place I go, it's so funny, Dax. I was going to tell you, I got recognized yesterday. I was getting a smoothie, and the guy was like, hey, what do you do? And I was like, it's a very tough question to answer, and he goes, he knew us from social media and the podcast from Hollywood Raw.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And he goes, hey, can I ask you what's going on with Gene Hackman? And that's like, my first theory was the carbon monoxide, but now that that's ruled out, I don't have a guess what's going on with Gene Hackman.
I can tell you So there's a new theory that is emerging about Gene Hackman and his wife's death. They're saying that there is a chance that the wife discovered him passed away because he was found kind of like in the entryway, his cane next to him on the ground. And they're saying that maybe she died of a broken heart. Like she saw his she realized that he had died and had essentially like a heart attack or a broken heart. And she then was struggling, went to the bathroom to get some pills and ended up dying there because they said her death was natural causes, or at least that's what they believe right now. Granted, we still need to wait for toxicology results because that's what's going to truly say what happened at the time. But the dog that had passed away, they had initially misidentified and said it was a German Shepherd, the one that was locked up in a cage. It was not. It was this dog that she loved to death, that they were super, super close. And so it doesn't make sense for her to have taken pills to kill herself with the dog locked in the kennel, because they're no person would do that to a dog that they love, right? So they're thinking maybe she had a medical emergency at the same time, and like, you know, I could see that happening. You see your husband of many, many years has passed away. You almost have your own heart attack. You die, and the dog was locked in the cage. And so it's just an unfortunate series of events. But they've ruled out the whole carbon monoxide thing. They don't see any forced entry. So they're like, we don't think someone came in and killed them. But again, toxicology is going to be the big key here of what happened, what was in their system at the time. If nothing, then wow, truly a crazy story.
It is.
That's like Notebook ending story right there. Like one dies, the other one's like, and I'm out.
Yeah, it's very weird. And when do you think, based on the toxicology reports, that we kind of get an answer of what exactly happened?
They normally take a couple weeks. I think it's normally like 3 to 4 weeks to get toxicology.
And then when Liam Payne died, we found those out really quick, right? Which was sort of unique.
I thought that was weird. But I think true toxicology, and I've heard this numerous times, and I've been reporting on it for many years, takes 3 to 4 weeks to get that stuff back. So I don't know how they got Liam's back so quick in Argentina. That didn't make sense.
So Michelle Trachtenberg dies, and then all of a sudden Gene Hackman dies. And I feel like we haven't really talked about Michelle Trachtenberg that much. That you know, and it's sad. It's all sad.
Well, think about it. Farrah Fawcett died the same day Michael Jackson did, and
oh my gosh, I forgot about that.
Most people don't remember, and that was a huge death for Farrah Fawcett to pass away. It unfortunately just happened on the same day as Michael Jackson, and so the news and the headlines all trumped it, and it was like Michael Jackson died today, and Farrah Fawcett.
Wow, I forgot about that. How does a news site, when you were at TMZ and Farrah Fawcett dies and Michael Jackson dies and you were part of the process, I guess, of breaking Michael Jackson, how did you guys navigate kind of breaking down both of those stories? Because there's just so much there.
I would say it was 70-30. 70% was focused on Michael Jackson. 30 to even less was focused on Farrah Fawcett, because his death was not of natural causes. You know, it was a mystery of, oh wait, there's a doctor involved. There's propofol involved. He's, you know, self-administering in his own bed. Like, and plus Michael Jackson was already an oddity, and that everyone was fascinated in everything in his life. So for him to pass away, and being one of the biggest music stars on the entire planet, the natural response was to cover him, because that's what everyone wanted to know about. Yes, Farrah Fawcett was a huge death, but the mystery behind Michael and the curiosity, that's where everyone wanted answers.
Yeah, pretty, I guess we have to keep waiting to see what happened with Gene Hackman. Every day there's like, hey, new theory that happened. No one really knows. Dax, the number one story of the week.
Well, I think it's the number one story, but not necessarily for us anymore, but it is definitely just the Oscars. The Oscars are the biggest night in Hollywood, and so all of that seems to have trailed on throughout this entire week. People talking about the big winners, talking about the fact that Demi Moore did not win, that Best Actress win went to Mickey Madison instead of her, and how it shocked the world. Adrian Brody winning, and the little things like him grabbing his gum out of his mouth and throwing it to his wife as he headed upstage. Did you see the video of Halle Berry kissing him on the lips outside on the red carpet?
I did. Was that too much? Was that weird? If you were the partner of Adrian Brody?
I thought it was cute. And the only reason I thought it was cute, just because when he kissed her all those years ago, it was such a big, huge moment in Oscar history. And so I thought it was funny. It would have been, in my mind, funnier had he done it in the auditorium. Like, that would have been funny. Like, his name gets called up and he runs through the audience to find Halle Berry and kisses her. To me, that would have been really funny. Like, to do that flashback rather than her kiss him out there, but like kind of relive that moment again for a second time. I would have laughed at that.
I did see a clip of, and this was sort of nice, where after, I guess, they announced Adrian, I'm assuming this was after, but after Adrian Brody won his award, afterwards, Adrian Brody was sitting there with like kind of the other actors that were nominated for Best Actor, and he had his arm around Timothée Chalamet. And I kind of fell for Timothée Chalamet. And I don't want to take anything away from Adrian Brody. I think his long speech was actually very nice and very well said. But like Timothée Chalamet really wanted this, and he had the speech, whatever I think it was at the Screen Actors Guild Awards, where he had a really good speech of saying how he wanted to be the best. It was very admirable. It was a very bold speech. But like he worked hard. He was campaigning really hard for this.
Yeah, I liked that him and Kylie sat next to each other the entire show, but the time when it came to him and his nomination, she switched with the mom. And so his mom was sitting next to him during the best actor reveal. And I thought that was so cool because, listen, let's be realistic. Relationships come and go. Your mom does not come and go. And so for her to be sitting there with him, you know, holding his hand in that moment, and that would be the camera flashback. If he had won, he would have kissed his mom on the cheek or whatever, hugged her, and got up to get the award. I absolutely loved it, and I thought that was cool of Kylie to hand over that spot to the true important woman in his life, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Very cool. Actually, I didn't know about that, and I don't know. I'm rooting for them. I think the way they're handling themselves as a couple is very nice. It's very just nice to see them being like supportive of each other's career and also kind of staying a little bit private. You know, Kylie's a little bit in a public family. Timothée is obviously a public persona, but he has to stay a little bit private because his career sort of depends on it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm rooting for them. I think it's just really nice to see how they handle it. They don't walk the red carpet together necessarily because they know it'd just be too much of a distraction, take away from his actual work.
By the way, who thought in the Culkin family that Kieran would be the one with an Oscar over Macaulay? Like, think back 20, 30 years ago when Macaulay Culkin was literally the biggest star on the entire planet to say, hey, so in 30 years, his brother's actually going to be the one that wins an Oscar, not Macaulay. Think about that.
People love Kieran Culkin. He's fine. Did you see that? I actually saw that movie that he did with Jesse Eisenberg. When I say I saw half of it and fell asleep. I was like, I'm not a hater because, listen, of course, it'd be my dream to come out with my own project and then want everyone to love it. Unfortunately, not everyone would. For me personally, I didn't understand like why everyone loved this movie so much. Kieran Culkin seems like a nice guy. He's almost becoming like this character, like this kind of new age Vince Vaughn, where he's sort of witty and quick-witted and talks quick. It's people love him. People love him.
Here's my prediction, Adam.
Yeah,
I think Cynthia Erivo is going to be the biggest star on the planet in like 2 years. I think between her meteoric rise and fame because of just Wicked, but her singing talent, I think her fashion sets her apart. And so people are fascinated with her fashion. I think the shaved head people find like exciting and intriguing. I think that her whole thing is going to keep her super relevant, and there's going to be a lot of gigs that open for her in acting now, and I think we're going to see so much more of her. Anyway, that's my prediction.
I would say if I was her rep, I would say distance her from Ariana Grande. Because I would. Like, when you see the two of them together, you're just like, it's just weird how they kind of like bounce off each other.
But it'll all end now that like the Oscars are done. Like, you're not going to see them as much. All right, I have to go. I got to go do a live shot to promote our podcast right now.
All right.
So I got to jump.
Thank you guys for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you guys like and subscribe to the channel. Leave us a review. Best thing you do to support this podcast. Follow our private Facebook group called Off the Record. It's a great community. You guys can talk to us. We talk to you. Follow me at Adam Glyn, Glyn. Follow Dax Holt at Dax Holt. I need to spell it because it's easy, Holt. And we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
What's up, guys? If you like that video, there's plenty more where that came from.
Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell so we can just feed you all the goodness daily.
Hurry up. Come on, let's go.